um, when I first met him, I was still living in New Orleans. Tommy said Miles wants to meet you, so I flew to New York. And it's funny, I don't really have. It's like I don't have any memory of flying there
Oh,
or where I stayed or how I got into the city. It was just it's kind of a blank to me. But I just had to go to his apartment. He lived on Central Park South. It was a building called the Marriott Essex House. It was like a hotel, but they also had people
right.
who
Yeah.
owned condos there. So I just remember when I got to his door, there's a sign that said, "Please take off your shoes." So I stood there with my horn and my shoes for about 10 minutes because I was terrified. I didn't know he was going to ask me to play or what it was going to be.
Oh,
So
shit.
I finally got the courage. I knocked on the door and he opened the door and he had this amazing smile on his face, and it was so the vibe was so cool that he immediately put me at ease.
Mm.
So I went in and he basically was looking for a cassette on this table that was full of a bunch of junk, and he gave me a tape. He said, "I'll see you on stage."
Wow.
So
Shit.
I
Okay.
no rehearsal. I had seen that band a couple times, so I kind of was aware of how the show was structured. Uh, it was the band with Foley and Ricky Wellman
Yep.
and Benny. So it was more of a. It's kind of was more of a pop
Popish.
gig. It wasn't.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of. There wasn't a lot of interaction, and those guys were not really jazz musicians, except for the keyboardist Kei Akagi, and
Yeah.
so and also his idea was it was going to be two saxophone players. So I would join the band with Kenny Garrett still being there, and
Okay.
we played one concert. Yeah, we played one concert, and then after the concert, Miles he actually fainted. He collapsed after the concert, so he
Oh,
was
wow.
not
Shit,
in
man.
great health. So the next day, we get on the bus, and he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "But it's too much energy for me to have another person on stage right now." He said, "So I'll call you when Kenny leaves." So I
Wow.
played one concert with Miles, and then I went back to New York the next day or 2 days after. They give me like 2 weeks worth, 2 weeks pay, and
Wow.
he said, "I'll
Yeah, yeah,
call you when
sure.
Kenny leaves." And so I was home for a while, and it was very strange because I was back in New Jersey playing weddings, and it's like, what just happened, but it was about a month later where I got a call, and it was from Miles. He said, "Kenny just left, and we need you," because it
Wow.
was very last minute. So that is when I went out on tour. It was the summer of 1989, and we did 6 weeks all through a lot of stuff in Italy. We played Stockholm, I think, and we played in France a couple concerts. So that was the bulk of my playing with him was kind of the second time.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
of course, when people think about Miles, you think about space and his use of space. So that was you asked me what I learned. That's one of the main things is that you could create all this drama and tension by not
Not
playing.
playing. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so we'd be playing these tunes that are just one chord vamps going on for a while, and it would be his turn to solo, and he would just walk around the stage and pretend like he was going to play, and then he wouldn't play.
Yeah.
So when he finally did come in with just one note, sometimes it was like the tension was just so strong, and he just kind of made everybody just, you know. So of course I learned that to not play so much. I mean, there
Mm.
are a couple of videos of
Yeah,
me
yeah,
playing
sure.
with him
Yeah.
on YouTube, and of course I'm overplaying. I don't think I leave any space at all. So it's like these lessons I learned after the fact. I listen back now, and I do have a couple live tapes that are better than the videos,
Oh,
but
really? Oh, man. Shit.
yeah,
Would love to
just
see them.
audio tapes, no video. So
Yeah.
anyway, it is what it is. Um,
How about
and I also
sorry.
realized that he didn't improvise everything from night to night. He had certain things that he would play, but it was always in different places. So this idea of manipulating your language as
Yeah.
opposed to just pulling out melodies from thin air all the time. I learned that lesson of that, and of course, he's not the first one to do that. When you listen to Charlie Parker,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that he played,
Yeah.
but always in different places. So that part of it was a lesson just to be part of and to witness.
Yeah. And how was it like traveling with that band?
It was a lot of it is like a blur to me. I don't remember that much. I mean,
Okay.
I wasn't completely welcomed by some of the guys because they wanted me to be Kenny Garrett.
Mm, interesting. Yeah, sure.
So there's a little bit of that going on, and so I kind of just kept to myself. But I became friends with some of the guys more so than others in the band, and some of the people in the crew actually. We hung out. Miles, I didn't talk to him that much because I didn't want to say anything stupid.
Yeah,
So I
sure,
kind of
man.
waited
Yeah,
for him.
I'd be the same, man. Yeah,
You know,
it's like,
so I
yeah,
kind of waited for him to speak to me, and there wasn't a lot of interaction because we would just go do the sound check, and he would just show up for the gig.
yeah,
So
yeah, sure.
every once in a while at the airport, we'd see each other and talk a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were playing this slow blues every night, and I got the courage up. I said, Miles, I said, I feel so corny on this blues. I don't know what to play. And he said, you couldn't play corny if you tried to. So that is just his seal of approval gave me confidence. And he said, just think of it in three,
Okay.
which made a lot of sense. But it's so simple. But so if the blues is 1, 2,
Yeah.
it's like slow. But if you think about it in 1, 2,
2,
3,
3.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 1, 2, then it turns into a waltz. So the
Interesting. Yeah.
subdivision is smaller. So there's, so like that little nugget was really important to me. Those kind of things.
Sure.
He also said, he says, don't lift your fingers up so high. Because when I play, I tend to play like this as opposed to keeping my, so that was pretty amazing that he noticed
Wow. Yeah.
saxophone technique.
You wouldn't think so,
It wasn't
right?
about
Yeah.
what I was playing, but how I was playing,
Interesting.
and we'd sometimes be at the airport, and one thing I found out is that he would, in his room, he would paint a lot, but he also would sit at his window with the binoculars and just watch people.
Yeah.
So he loved just observing human behavior. So like we'd be at the airport and he'd see a couple and he'd say, they're going to break up. She's going to leave him. Or he would say, that guy used to be a junkie.
Interesting.
So he was just really into to talk about human nature. The Michael Jackson tune
Yeah,
we used
sure.
to play a lot, right?
Yeah.
So he was really into that. So that was kind of fascinating.
Interesting. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's
And
gone through everything. Yeah.
I did that 6 week. I did the 6 week tour, and there was a break before the next tour. And in the meantime, Kenny Garrett, he called Miles and said he wanted to come back. And those first couple of gigs, I had a contract that I had signed, so I wasn't going to be able to make the first gigs for the next. So there was this kind of overlap so I never got a chance to go back out again, which of course would have been amazing because I would have had some time to regroup and reflect on it and then get back out there and feel a little bit more confident. But it is what it is. I had the chance to do it, and
oh man, come on, it's